You're live.
Right, okay. Welcome everybody to our session, our Milpark Business School Test webinar. Today we're going to talk a bit about the Thought Leadership Seminar Series that starts on the 20th of May. And before we do, I want to welcome Dr. Clovis Oosthuizen, Dean of Milpark Business School. Welcome, Clovis.
Thank you.
And also to welcome to Dr. Jane Usher, Head of Department of Milpark Business School. Welcome to you both. I know that Jane had connection issues, so we'll see if we can get her live soon. In addition, I'd like to welcome our Milpark audience. I know you're watching from all over South Africa, and we're really excited about this test. We want to know your feedback, and we're looking forward to your questions. So, Curtis, I'm going to ask you first. You called the Milpark Business School Thought Leadership Series Tomorrow is Beautiful. That is such an inspiring title to have, because so few of us are thinking around tomorrow is beautiful. We're very much around today and possibly the future and what all that holds. So can you explain why this very inspiring title was chosen for the series and how it relates to Milpark Business School?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Claudia, I think at the time when we decided that we want to hang our hat on this Tomorrow is Beautiful slogan or tagline or mantra, we probably didn't, we didn't know what was coming and how apt it would actually be in the context we find ourselves in at the moment. At that stage, we were considering the Fourth Industrial Revolution as kind of this big driver of change, and how we can play our part in shaping and creating a future that we all would want, not one that's given to us. And so I think it's very inspirational, but also aspirational. It's got a bit of a future forward-looking perspective to it. And at the moment, we find ourselves in times that's extremely gloomy. It's dark. The news and everything that's just fed to us through all channels are just just negative about this COVID-19. And I shared it with some colleagues. I actually get nauseous now when I hear the term COVID-19. So let me rather hear tomorrow is beautiful. It creates something. I don't know if it's dopamine that it helps to excrete in my brain, but it just makes me feel better about the day that's coming. And then, of course, the role that I can play in making tomorrow beautiful for myself, my immediate family and so forth, but for the community, society, for my country, for my colleagues, and then for our continent and for the world at large. So I think that is why we thought that would be a rather apt overall theme for the series that we would want to launch. Thank you so much.
Amazing. And I've also obviously seen the work that the business school is publishing, and it's out there. And I see you've got a tagline which is called Developing Leaders for the hashtag Common Good. Would you like to comment about that? Because between Tomorrow is Beautiful and then Developing Leaders for the Common Good, again, it makes me feel good. So
yeah.
Can you think about how or why Milpark Business School thought of that and wanted to emphasize that?
Yeah, Claudia, I think, and without getting too philosophical about it, but I know the term common good is probably thrown about by many people, but if one really considers what it's about, I would suggest that it encompasses our entire human existence. Would we encapsulate it under the common good? Who we are, what we are, and what us as a species, also the role that we fulfill and what we should fulfill to one another, to people, to the planet, that we live on, and so many of those areas things are not going well. It's kind of, we've been entrusted with a lot of things, but I think we're making a mess of it. And I'm furthermore, perhaps we want to add, I'm to be convinced that we know what we are doing. So, and I'm not talking in, the entire global or humankind. So, if we then, as a matter of the heart, commit ourselves to developing leaders for this common good, which would then also align closely with our mantra of tomorrow is beautiful, because it would then be these leaders that we influence by the learning experience that we expose them to then also be not only contributors to the common good, but also contributors to making tomorrow beautiful.
Wonderful, really, most inspirational. Cobus, I think that Jane is having connection problems and is not with us. Jane, are you with us? No. So I'm going to ask you one more question, Cobus,
Sure.
because Jane can't be with us, and so back to you. Could you let us know, you've chosen the first topics for this series, starting on the 20th of May, and I wonder how the topics and thought leadership work together, because they're very interesting topics coming out, and you put them together with thought leadership. So why thought leadership and these particular topics?
Claudia, what was the beauty about this when we conceptualized it? It was a very collaborative process in coming up with these topics, and each one of us in the team. I'm not talking just about the business school team, the broader team, the commercial team, the marketing team. Are at particular places across this country, and are each one had something wonderful to contribute towards what we wanted to know. What is what would be very relevant for where we find ourselves in at the moment as individuals and as a collective, and what would be very topical. And it was amazing the amount of or the energy that came out of that, and all the topics and themes that were suggested and so forth. And we endeavored through a democratic process then to determine, okay, which ones would go first. And I mean, as time goes on and we all get stimulated and the creative juices flow further, we will start off and we will build on this, improve on it, continue small improvements as we go forward. And I think over time this is going to evolve into a beautiful and a very popular series, I believe. But would you like me to start touching on some of these topics that we've?
Yes, maybe pick one or two. We've just got 1 and a bit minutes left for our test. But pick one or two and let us know. That's wonderful.
All right. Okay, so the one that there would be, and I think that's going to be the first one probably, is the ethical leadership during and post the COVID-19 scenario, specifically if we consider South Africa. So around that is when we think of unlocking the economy, but also in the same instance endeavoring to contain or to restrain this virus post the lockdown period. We know it holds numerous challenges, and with our own economy coming to such a grinding halt as a result of the lockdown, the impact has been extremely negative across our entire supply chain, not just the world, but also in South Africa. So the question then is how should public and private, public sector and private sector leadership go about in rebuilding an economy for the common good, and an economy that would benefit all of our country's citizens. And I mean, all of us daily hear the news, and if we talk about ethical leadership during the crisis, you've heard of instances where people in leadership have made themselves and other things not reaching the intended people. So it's so sad. Now, that is just one simple example, but in rebuilding the economy, now one battles to understand how can an entire global economy within such a short space of time nearly come to a grinding halt. I mean, previously experiences like this was in the Second World War, but the challenges are numerous, and I would suggest that the ethical challenges so much more. So therefore, we felt that would be a very relevant topic, and in that regard, we are also it would be Dr. Jacques van Zyl, which is also an MBA lecturer on business ethics and corporate governance, psychologist, speaker, author. That would be our colleague that will be hosting or leading that particular discussion. Then the other one, and that was also based on what we've seen and what we've been made aware of, was this kind of the future scenario planning and so forth. As a matter of fact, recently, last week, Jane and myself attended a workshop with the South African Business Schools Association, where Marius Oosthuizen from Gibbs was the facilitator of the session about possible scenarios for business schools in this COVID era. Now, we've also considered now life after lockdown. What could it possibly potentially look like? And we've inquired with Professor Chris Ardendorf, who's also part-time faculty at Nelson Mandela University Business School, but he's also on the Presidential Commission for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, double doctorate, futurist. He's authored a book and so forth. So to come and share with us his views on what potentially these three scenarios could look like. So because at some point in the future, this lockdown, whether it's stage 4, 3, 2, 1, or whatever, will come to an end. So the economic knock-on effect, along with the health or the impact of the COVID-19, will remain with us for the foreseeable future. So people ask, what does the future for us as South Africans then hold? What is probable? What is plausible, and what is possible? And I think then also importantly, what is actually preferable, and that is what Chris will then also take us through. I don't know if you know, let me stop for a while. I'm doing all the talking here.
Yes, thanks, Cobus. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Cobus. Our time is up with our test, and that's fascinating, and I'm sure everybody's even more excited to join the sessions now that you've spoken about some of the topics in depth. Thank you so much for your time this morning. All the very best with the series. We're so excited, looking forward to it. And thank you very much for our very loyal audience, Milparkers, who have joined us now, even though our sound and our streaming and there's been some issues. thank you very much, and we really welcome your feedback. You can email Michaela and tell her how we can improve things, what our background should be, what we should do about audio or sound, or we just want any feedback you've got, and if you think we were superb, we don't mind hearing that either. So thank you very much, and thanks, Clovis, and have a lovely day and weekend to follow.
Thank you very much.